Have you ever felt weighed down by memories that just won't leave you? Memories of mistakes, heartbreaks, failures, or moments you wish you could erase. Life, my friend, gives us all kinds of memories, some sweet, some bitter, but it is how we treat the bitter ones that shapes our peace. Think of your mind as a beautiful garden. Now, imagine someone throwing mud at it. Those bad memories are like that mud. Do you let it cover the flowers, or do you wash it off and let your garden shine? The truth is, you cannot control every memory that visits you, but you can control how long it stays. One of the first steps is to accept. Acceptance doesn't mean approval. It means acknowledging that this happened, that it hurt, and that it is part of your story. It is only when you face your pain that it loses the power to control you. Next is forgiveness, not for them, but for you. Carrying anger and regret is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself from the chains of the past. Then comes reframing. Look at your memories not as scars, but as lessons. Every tough moment carries a teaching. Every mistake is a step toward becoming a wiser, stronger version of yourself. Also remember the power of the present moment. The past is like yesterday's newspaper. Read it, learn from it, then recycle it. Life is happening now, and your energy is precious. Choose to spend it here, not in the shadows of yesterday. Finally, nurture yourself with gratitude and mindfulness. Celebrate the small joys, the laughter, the friendships, the moments that remind you life is beautiful. The more you water the flowers in your garden, the less room the mud of bad memories has to grow. You see, memories will come. They are guests, but you are the host. You decide how long they stay and whether they leave footprints or just pass through. Life is too short to let bad memories steal your today. Choose peace, choose growth, choose love, and watch your inner garden flourish. Have you ever noticed how, when a painful memory surfaces, our first reaction is to push it away, to deny it, or even to fight it? We think that if we ignore it long enough, it will disappear like a cloud passing in the sky. But here's the truth: memories are like echoes of the past. They are going to find a way to resurface until we look at them with honesty and acceptance. The first step to truly dealing with bad memories is not trying to erase them, but acknowledging them without judgment. Accepting that they are part of your journey does not mean you approve of what happened or that you have to like it. Acceptance is simply saying, yes, this happened. It was painful, and it is part of my life story. Think of a river flowing through a valley. If you try to block the water, it will find cracks and overflow, causing floods. But if you allow it to flow naturally, observing it without resistance, it settles into its course. Our memories work in the same way. When we resist them, they fester, growing heavier and more painful. But when we accept them as part of the landscape of our mind, their weight begins to lift. Acceptance is like giving permission to your mind to process what happened, to face the hurt without fear, and to move forward without carrying unnecessary baggage. Many people mistake acceptance for weakness or surrender. They feel that if they acknowledge a bad memory, they are somehow giving it power. But in reality, acceptance is the very act of reclaiming power. It is standing tall and saying, I will not be controlled by what happened. I will face it, learn from it in the end, continue walking my path. When we avoid acknowledging our memories, we trap ourselves in cycles of regret and resentment. We create invisible chains that prevent our hearts from opening to joy, love, and new experiences. Acknowledging your memories also allows you to give them context. Often, when we suppress painful events, our mind exaggerates them, turning them into monsters far bigger than they truly are. But when we accept them and examine them closely, we see the reality of what occurred. We realize that we survived, that we learned something, and that those moments, as painful as they were not the entirety of our existence. They were chapters, not the whole story. By giving your memories a voice, you take away their silent, controlling power over your emotions. This process of acknowledgement requires courage. It asks you to sit with yourself, to feel the discomfort, and to say, this is my life. These experiences shape me, and I will honor them by learning from them. It is in this acknowledgement that healing begins. You start to understand that your past is not your prison. You begin to see that by facing your memories without judgment, you are cultivating a mind that is resilient, compassionate, and free. So, the next time a painful memory surfaces, resist the urge to push it away. Don't distract yourself or pretend it doesn't exist. Instead, take a deep breath and tell yourself, I see you. You are part of my journey, and I will face you with honesty and courage. Because acceptance is the key that transforms memories from burdens into teachers, and from shadows into light. Memories have a way of showing up uninvited, don't they? Sometimes they arrive as gentle whispers, and other times as sudden storms that shake us to the core. We cannot choose which memories appear, nor can we decide when they knock on our doors. Life will give us recollections of failures, regrets, heartbreaks, and moments that bring discomfort. And yet, here lies the crucial truth. While we cannot control the arrival of these memories, we have the power to control how long we allow them to stay. This is a freedom that many of us overlook. But it is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. Imagine your mind as a theater. Memories are like movies that play on the screen. Some are filled with laughter, joy, and inspiration. Others are darker, filled with pain or regret. You cannot choose which movies are projected by life, but you can choose whether to stay in the theater watching a painful scene over and over, or whether to get up, walk out, and focus on the next film that brings learning and growth. Dwelling endlessly on a memory does not change the past, it only prolongs the suffering. When we learn to exercise control over how long we linger in the theater of our mind, we reclaim our time, our energy, and our peace. This control does not mean suppressing or ignoring your memories. Suppression is like pushing water into a sealed bottle. It may seem contained, but pressure builds and eventually it bursts. Control, on the other hand, is about conscious management. It is observing a memory, feeling the emotions it brings, understanding its lesson, and then gently letting it go. It is saying to yourself, yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt. But I will not allow it to dictate my present or my future. It is choosing to live in the moment rather than remaining trapped in yesterday. Consider the way the mind tends to exaggerate when we ruminate. When you dwell too long on a painful memory, it grows in size, like a shadow stretching across a room as the sun sets. What seemed small and manageable at first can feel overwhelming and insurmountable if we give it too much time. But by practicing control, we prevent these shadows from taking over our lives. We learn to acknowledge the memory, take its teaching, and step back into the light of today. This is not avoidance, it is wisdom. The ability to control how long we dwell on memories is also deeply connected to our inner dialogue. If you continuously replay a memory with self-blame, regret, or anger, you feed it energy, allowing it to grow roots in your mind. But if you intentionally shift your focus to gratitude, growth, and the lessons learned, the memory gradually loses its grip. You are no longer a passive observer, but an active participant in your own mental and emotional life. Ultimately, controlling how long you dwell on memories is a practice of freedom. It is understanding that life will always bring challenges, but it is your response to them that defines your inner peace. You cannot erase the past, but you can decide how much of your present it occupies. By exercising this control, you transform from someone who is haunted by memories into someone who is guided by their lessons, living fully and courageously in the now. Forgiveness is a word that feels deceptively simple, yet it carries the weight of mountains. Many of us believe that forgiveness is something we do for others, an act of kindness, a moral duty, or a concession to someone who has hurt us. But the truth is far more profound. Forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves. When we hold on to anger, resentment, or the bitterness of a memory, it is not the other person who suffers. It is us. Carrying grudges is like holding a hot coal in your hand, expecting someone else to feel the burn. Every moment we cling to anger or pain, we drain our own energy, cloud our own clarity, and weigh down our own heart. Think about it when a memory of betrayal, failure, or loss surfaces. The first instinct is often to replay the pain, to remember every detail, to justify the anger. But every replay strengthens the chains of resentment. We may convince ourselves that holding on to this anger is a way of protecting ourselves. But in reality, it is imprisoning us in the past. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks that prison. It is not about condoning what happened, nor is it about forgetting. It is about choosing to release the emotional grip that keeps us tethered to pain. Forgiveness requires courage. It asks us to rise above ego and pride, to confront our hurt, and to make a conscious decision to let go. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack full of stones everywhere you go. Each stone represents anger, resentment, or a hurtful memory. Every day it becomes heavier until walking through life feels impossible. Forgiveness is taking out those stones one by one until your back feels lighter and your steps freer. The burden does not disappear overnight, but with each act of letting go, you reclaim a little more of your peace. Moreover, forgiveness transforms our perspective. When we forgive, we begin to see the human side of others recognizing that everyone acts from their own fears, limitations, or misunderstandings. This does not excuse the pain caused, but it creates space for empathy and understanding. And the greatest part, we start to extend the same compassion toward ourselves. We forgive our own mistakes, our own poor choices, and our own moments of weakness. This self-forgiveness is often the hardest, yet it is the most liberating, because it allows us to embrace our past without shame. Forgiveness also opens the door to growth. Holding on to anger traps us in cycles of repetition, keeping us focused on what went wrong instead of what could be. Once we forgive, our mental and emotional energy becomes available for creativity, learning, and meaningful relationships. The memory of pain may remain, but its power diminishes. It becomes a teacher rather than a tyrant, a lesson rather than a punishment. At the end of the day, forgiveness is an act of love, not for those who hurt us, but for ourselves. It is saying, I will not let your actions define my peace. I will not let my past imprison my future. I choose freedom, I choose growth, I choose light. When we practice forgiveness, we discover that peace is not something we find outside, it is something we cultivate within. The moment we release the grip of resentment, we reclaim the joy, clarity, and energy that were always ours to begin with. Life has a remarkable way of giving us experiences that we often label as bad or painful. A harsh word, a failed relationship, a missed opportunity, or a moment of betrayal can leave us carrying a heavy emotional load. Naturally, our instinct is to see these experiences as burdens, weights we must bear, marks of shame or failure that define who we are. But there is another way to look at these experiences, one that can transform our relationship with the past. Reframing. Reframing is the act of changing the lens through which we view a memory, shifting from seeing it as a burden to seeing it as a lesson. It is saying to ourselves, this experience may have hurt me, but it can teach me, strengthen me, and guide me toward a better future. Imagine a sculptor working with a block of marble. At first, it appears rough, heavy, and unshapely. But the sculptor knows that beneath the rough exterior lies potential for beauty. Every chip, every strike, every careful adjustment is necessary to reveal the masterpiece hidden within. Life works in the same way. Painful memories are like the rough edges of that marble. They are uncomfortable. They may feel unfair, but they are precisely what shape us into stronger, wiser, and more compassionate individuals. Reframing is the act of looking at the marble and recognizing the potential that lies beneath the surface. When we reframe our memories, we take control of the narrative. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" we ask, "What can I learn from this?" For instance, a failed friendship may initially feel like rejection or betrayal, but reframed, it can teach us about boundaries, communication, and self-respect. A missed opportunity may feel like a personal failure, but reframed, it can become a lesson in perseverance, patience, and timing. Every painful memory holds within it a seed of wisdom. The key is to uncover it. Reframing is not about denying our emotions or pretending the pain didn't exist. It is about acknowledging the hurt fully and then choosing to see it from a new perspective. It is about transforming the story we tell ourselves so that the memory no longer controls our emotions. When we hold on to the story of pain without reframing, it becomes a recurring nightmare, constantly replaying in our minds, stealing our energy and dimming our joy. But when we consciously reframe, the same memory becomes a teacher, offering insight and guidance for the present and the future. This process also cultivates resilience. Life is unpredictable and setbacks are inevitable. When we train ourselves to reframe memories, we develop an inner strength that allows us to navigate challenges with grace. Painful experiences no longer feel like crushing blows, they become stepping stones. We learn to see obstacles not as dead ends, but as opportunities to grow, adapt, and evolve. Reframing can be applied to both past and present experiences. Every time a painful memory arises, we can pause, breathe, and ask ourselves, "What is this trying to teach me? How can I grow from this?" Over time, this practice rewires the mind, transforming how we relate to life's challenges. We move from being victims of circumstance to active participants in our own growth and transformation. In essence, reframing is the bridge between pain and wisdom. It allows us to carry memories without being crushed by them, to learn from experiences without being defined by them, and to live fully in the present without being trapped in the past. Life may continue to test us, but through reframing, every test becomes a teacher, every hardship a lesson, and every memory, no matter how painful, a gift in disguise. One of the greatest traps we fall into is living in the past. It is so easy to let yesterday's mistakes, heartbreaks, or regrets dictate the quality of our today. A memory resurfaces, a painful moment replays, and suddenly our mind is a prisoner of time that no longer exists. We forget that life is happening right now, that every heartbeat, every breath, every glance is a gift that cannot be recovered once it slips away. Focusing on the present is not just a nice idea, it is a necessity for peace, happiness, and growth. When we allow the past to dominate our thoughts, we rob ourselves of the very life that is unfolding in front of us. Imagine walking along a beautiful beach, the waves gently lapping at your feet, the sun casting golden light across the sand. Now imagine carrying a heavy backpack full of stones, each one representing a painful memory, a regret, or a failure. Every step becomes laborious, every moment of joy is dulled, and the scenery around you is almost invisible. This is how dwelling in the past robs us of the beauty and opportunities of the present. The only way to truly experience life is to set down the backpack, to acknowledge that the past happened, but to refuse to carry it into the now. Living in the present requires conscious awareness. It asks us to pause and notice the details we often overlook. The warmth of sunlight on our skin, the laughter of a friend, the taste of a meal, the rhythm of our own breathing. When we focus on these moments, we discover that life is not defined by a single memory or experience, but by countless small, beautiful fragments that create the mosaic of our existence. The more we immerse ourselves in the present, the less power our old memories have to disturb us. Another important aspect of present focus is realizing that our energy is finite. Every moment we spend replaying the past is a moment lost. Lost for joy, for growth, for connection, and for love. It is like watering weeds instead of nurturing flowers. The more attention we give to what has already happened, the less energy we have for the beauty, opportunities, and lessons that exist right here, right now. Choosing to live in the present is a choice to invest our energy wisely, to give it to what matters, and to let go of what no longer serves us. Focusing on the present does not mean denying emotions or pretending the past did not hurt. Pain, loss, and failure are real, and they deserve acknowledgement. But there is a difference between acknowledging a memory and letting it dictate your mood, your actions, or your potential. By consciously returning to the present through mindfulness, gratitude, or simply paying attention to the current moment, we reclaim our life from the shadow of yesterday. The present moment is also where transformation occurs. Healing does not happen in the past. It happens here and now. Growth, creativity, connection, and joy all exist in this space, waiting for us to step fully into them. When we live in the present, memories become tools for insight rather than anchors of suffering. We carry lessons without carrying pain. We remember without reliving. In essence, focusing on the present is a radical act of freedom. It is choosing life over regret, joy over resentment, and growth over stagnation. The past is a chapter in our story, but the present is where the story is being written. By anchoring ourselves in the now, we honor life itself, cultivate peace, and open ourselves to the countless possibilities waiting for us in each moment. In the midst of life's challenges, it is easy to feel weighed down by pain, regrets, or memories that bring sorrow. Our minds have a natural tendency to focus on what went wrong, on what we lack, or on moments that caused hurt. Yet, there is a simple but profound tool that can shift our perspective entirely: gratitude. Gratitude is not merely saying, "Thank you," when things go well. It is the practice of intentionally noticing and celebrating the small joys, the quiet blessings, and the moments of beauty that are often overlooked. It is a conscious choice to focus on what we have rather than what we lost, Consider this: life is like a vast, sprawling garden. In that garden, there are flowers, sunlight, streams, and trees, but also weeds, rocks, and thorny bushes. When we focus only on the thorns, we fail to see the beauty surrounding us. Gratitude is the act of turning our attention to the flowers, to the sunlight, to the gentle stream flowing nearby. It does not erase the weeds or the thorns, but it transforms our perception, allowing us to appreciate what is abundant and beautiful in our lives. By celebrating small joys, we gradually shift our mindset from scarcity to abundance, from despair to hope. Practicing gratitude also rewires our mind. Neuroscience shows that focusing on positive experiences, no matter how small, strengthens neural pathways that promote happiness, resilience, and emotional well-being. A simple act, such as appreciating a friend's kindness, savoring a warm cup of tea, or noticing the beauty of a sunset, releases positive energy into our hearts. The more consistently we practice gratitude, the more naturally our mind begins to dwell on these positive experiences rather than the painful ones. Over time, the impact of bad memories lessens, not because they disappear, but because they no longer dominate our attention. Gratitude is also a powerful teacher. When we make a conscious effort to celebrate even the smallest joys, we start noticing life's hidden lessons. A mistake at work might reveal the importance of patience or preparation. A disagreement with a loved one may teach us empathy or humility. Even a difficult day can become an opportunity to appreciate strength, perseverance, or the support of others. Gratitude allows us to transform challenges and setbacks into stepping stones, giving meaning to experiences that might otherwise seem purely negative. Another beautiful aspect of gratitude is how it enhances our relationships. When we express appreciation for the people around us, the family who supports us, the friends who listen, the colleagues who encourage, we strengthen our connections and create a ripple of positivity. People respond to gratitude with warmth, kindness, and generosity, creating an environment where joy and support flourish. In turn, this positive environment helps us process painful memories with greater ease, as we are no longer carrying our burdens alone. Finally, gratitude is a choice that cultivates resilience. Life will always present challenges, and painful memories will surface from time to time. But when we anchor ourselves in gratitude, we equip ourselves with a perspective that sees beyond the temporary hardships. We learn to find light even in the darkest moments, and we discover that happiness is not the absence of pain, but the ability to notice and celebrate the small joys despite it. In essence, gratitude is the lens through which life's colors shine brightest. It is the quiet power that transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary ones, that turns suffering into growth, and that allows us to live fully, even amidst difficulty. By practicing gratitude, we reclaim our energy, shift our focus from pain to positivity, and open our hearts to the endless beauty of the present moment. Our minds are constantly busy. Thoughts arrive like waves in the ocean, some gentle and pleasant, others stormy and troubling. Memories, especially the painful ones, often come uninvited, dragging emotions along with them. The natural tendency is to grab hold of these thoughts, to analyze, relive, or resist them. But this is precisely what gives them power. Mindfulness teaches us a different approach. To observe our thoughts without attachment, allowing them to pass naturally, like clouds drifting across the sky. Imagine standing on the shore, watching the waves roll in and out. You do not try to stop the ocean, you simply observe it. Some waves are small, some crash violently, but none last forever. The same is true of our thoughts. Mindfulness is learning to watch the waves of the mind without becoming the wave itself. When a painful memory arises, you notice it, acknowledge it, and let it pass without judgment or resistance. You do not push it away, nor do you cling to it. You allow it to exist momentarily and then move on, returning your attention to the present. This practice of observation is subtle but transformative. When we are entangled in our memories, we give them energy. We replay moments over and over, sometimes twisting them in our minds, and each repetition strengthens their emotional grip. Mindfulness interrupts this cycle. By observing a thought instead of reacting to it, we reclaim control. We create a space between ourselves and the memory, realizing that we are not our thoughts, nor are we defined by the pain they bring. We are simply the observer, the awareness that notices and understands. Mindfulness also nurtures self-compassion. Often, the memories that trouble us involve mistakes, regrets, or moments of weakness. When we mindfully observe these thoughts, we begin to see them without harsh judgment. We recognize that we acted with the knowledge and resources we had at the time, and that it is human to err. This compassionate observation allows healing to take place. Instead of punishing ourselves endlessly, we learn to accept, forgive, and move forward with greater understanding. Another powerful aspect of mindfulness is its ability to anchor us in the present. Painful memories often pull us backward, causing us to relive moments we cannot change. Mindfulness reminds us that the past exists only as memory, and the future only as possibility. True life unfolds in the present moment. By observing thoughts without attachment, we bring our attention back to what is real and immediate: the sensations of our body, the rhythm of our breath, the environment around us, and the people we interact with. This awareness reduces the power of negative memories and allows us to engage fully with life as it is happening now. Practicing mindfulness does not mean that memories disappear. They may still arise, but their impact diminishes. Over time, we cultivate an inner calm, a mental clarity that allows us to respond to memories with wisdom rather than emotional reactivity. It is like learning to ride a bicycle in a storm. While the wind and rain are unavoidable, the rider remains balanced, steady, and in control. Ultimately, mindfulness is freedom. It teaches us that while we cannot choose which memories come, we can choose how we relate to them. By observing our thoughts without attachment, we transform painful memories from overwhelming storms into passing clouds. We gain control over our inner world, cultivate peace within ourselves, and learn to live fully in each moment, regardless of the shadows of the past. Our minds are extraordinary landscapes, vast and intricate, filled with thoughts, emotions, memories, and dreams. Yet, just like any garden, if we neglect it, weeds can grow, choking the beauty that naturally exists within. Painful memories, regrets, and negative emotions are like these weeds. They sprout uninvited, and if left unattended, they can take root and dominate the mental landscape. The principle here is simple but profound. Your mind is your inner garden, and you have the power to choose what to nurture and what to discard. Imagine walking into a garden overgrown with weeds. The flowers are still there the seeds of potential still lie in the soil, but their growth is overshadowed by unwanted plants. The gardener has a choice: either ignore the weeds and let them consume the garden, or consciously remove them and care for the flowers. In the same way, our thoughts and memories compete for our attention. We can allow negative, painful memories to occupy our mental space endlessly, or we can consciously choose to nurture positive, empowering, and constructive thoughts that support growth and well-being. Nurturing your inner garden begins with awareness. The first step is to observe which thoughts you feed with attention. Every time you dwell on a painful memory or replay a hurtful experience, you water a weed. Every time you practice gratitude, mindfulness, or positive reflection, you water a flower. The difference is not in the thoughts themselves, but in where we place our focus and energy. By cultivating awareness, we begin to recognize that our mental landscape is not static. It is constantly changing, shaped by our choices and attention. Pruning is another essential part of this process. Just as a gardener removes dead branches and weeds to allow the healthy plants to flourish, we must remove thoughts, beliefs, and memories that no longer serve us. This does not mean denying our past or pretending pain didn't exist. It means intentionally deciding which thoughts deserve space and which are holding us back. Letting go of toxic memories or excessive rumination creates space for healing, growth, and peace. Planting flowers in your inner garden is equally important. Flowers can be experiences of joy, gratitude, self-love, compassion, and mindfulness. These are the positive thoughts and emotions that require regular attention. They may start small, perhaps a fleeting moment of appreciation or a short period of mindfulness, but over time, with consistent care, they grow into habits and attitudes that transform the mental landscape. By focusing on nurturing what matters, we gradually reduce the influence of negative memories and create a flourishing garden within our minds. Patience is crucial in this process. Gardens do not bloom overnight, and neither does mental peace. Negative memories may still arise, and challenges will continue to test our resilience. But just as a gardener persists through seasons, storms, and dry spells, we too can continue tending our minds, knowing that growth takes time. Each moment spent consciously choosing which thoughts to nurture is an investment in inner beauty, strength, and harmony. Ultimately, the inner garden analogy reminds us that we are responsible for our mental and emotional well-being. Painful memories will come like weeds blowing in from outside, but we have the tools to manage them. By observing, pruning, and nurturing consciously, we transform our minds into landscapes of peace, clarity, and joy. Life will always bring challenges, but in a well-tended garden. The flowers of positivity, wisdom, and resilience will always bloom. No matter how harsh the weather outside may be,